First of all, the Silverado that you see here is not a trend, it's a truck.
Chevy's CEO just dropped some bombshell news for Silverado owners, and the fans are furious. The iconic truck is getting a major update, but loyalists feel betrayed. This isn't just a Chevy problem though, it's an industry-wide trend, and it makes you wonder, how is this going to affect you? And what are the problems exactly? What is happening? Well, it is not just one thing, it is a little complicated. So we broke it down into 3 main factors behind this announcement. And the first one is the fact that the announcement revolves around the new 2024 Silverado EV, which is a great new addition to the lineup. It simply means more options. But we're already asking, what about the gas truck Silverado owners? See, they're not exactly thrilled with the current state of affairs. Chevy's been slapping on band-aids instead of tackling the root issues head on. Chevy's trying to have its cake and eat it too. They're keeping the gas guzzlers around while also diving into the electric game. It's a smart move for their wallet, but it could seriously backfire if they don't get their act together on quality control. The Silverado EV was expected to be a total game changer. This bad boy is a fully electric beast that's about to redefine what a truck can do. We're talking a jaw-dropping 754 horsepower and a range that'll take you 450 miles on a single charge. That's like driving from LA to San Francisco without breaking a sweat. When you think about it, this is great. This means more options in the Silverado lineup. And the Silverado is not famous for offering that many options. This is a big part of the puzzle for the current situation Chevy is in. But before we dive into that and much more like the design, price, and competition, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on videos like this. The options. We all know the Chevrolet Silverado has had hybrid versions in the past. The Silverado 1500 Hybrid was produced from 2009 to 2013, featuring a 2-mode hybrid drivetrain that combined a 6-liter V8 engine with electric motors. This setup allowed for improved fuel efficiency, achieving approximately 21 miles per gallon in the city and 22 miles per gallon on the highway. They don't need that type of capability from a hybrid right now, as even the current base model, the one with that turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, can achieve 19 miles per gallon in the city, 22 miles per gallon on the highway. But that is not keeping up with what Ram and Ford are doing with their base V6 engines. And when you step up to the V8 options, things only get worse. Chevy's V8s are getting a measly 16 to 17 miles per gallon in the city and maybe 21 miles per gallon on the open road. Meanwhile, Ram's Hemi V8 is pulling off an impressive 23 miles per gallon highway, and Ford's legendary Coyote 5-liter V8 manages 18 city, 24 highway. Talk about being left in the dust. Currently, General Motors is planning to reintroduce hybrid models, including plug-in hybrids of the Silverado and GMC Sierra. CEO Mary Barra announced that these new plug-in hybrids are in development, aiming to bridge the gap between traditional combustion engine models and fully electric vehicles. But that's just not the only way the Silverado can really stay competitive on fuel economy. I am talking about the diesel engine. I hear Chevy's done some updates to pump up the power and torque on that oil burner, even giving it an edge over Ram's V6 diesel. But from what I understand, Ram's diesel still has the upper hand when it comes to highway performance. But fuel economy isn't the only area where the Silverado needs some work. Let's talk about off-road capability and toughness. For the longest time, Chevy seemed a little hesitant to unleash a true no-holds-barred off-road beast of a pickup. Sure, the Trail Boss had some decent upgrades, but it was hardly the ultimate thrill ride for adrenaline junkies like us. But let's be honest, now it seems as if that all changed with the arrival of the Silverado ZR2 though. This thing is seriously impressive. High-performance multimatic dampers, beefy suspension, and those gnarly mud terrain tires that can tackle just about anything. And with those locking differentials and a 2-speed transfer case, the ZR2 means business when the going gets tough. The only problem is, the ZR2 is still rocking the same engine as the rest of the Silverado lineup. That 6.2-liter V8 puts out a respectable 420 horsepower, but when you look at the competition, it just doesn't quite stack up. It's like Chevy is holding back. They've got the suspension, the off-road chops, and the aggressive styling, but they need to really unleash the power to compete with the big boys. Imagine a Silverado ZR2 with a beefier engine pumping out over 700 horsepower or something more potent. That would be the ultimate off-road beast. I'd be first in line to get my hands on one of those. But that is going to never happen. Why? Well, for starters, the Silverado isn't just about raw power. It's an almost luxury truck. And you know what? Chevy has done a great job of elevating the Silverado's interior, packing it with premium materials and tech features. It's certainly a step up from the basic work trucks of the past. But let's shift gears and talk about another area where the Silverado has seen some ups and downs: the interior. When this latest generation first rolled off the assembly line, there were a few issues. Chevy was so eager to get it out there that they forgot to properly update the cabin. The previous Silverado model had its own set of problems, from engine hiccups to a few interior niggles. And while Chevy has tried to address those concerns with the newest version, the complaints are still rolling in. Now, I know a lot of these impressions are highly subjective, based on individual preferences. So rather than air my personal opinions, let me just lay out the facts and let you be the judge. Pay close attention, because there's a lot to unpack when it comes to the latest Silverado. The new look. Gone is the old, uninspiring cabin, replaced by a much fresher, more modern design. The updated materials and overall aesthetic are a huge step up. I have to give Chevy credit. They finally got their act together and gave that old dashboard a much-needed facelift. It looks cool. Now, before you start thinking Chevy's solved all their interior woes, let me pump the brakes for a sec, because while the higher-end models are really stepping up their game, the base trims are still rocking that tired, outdated cabin. And get this, if you want that fancy new look, you've got to fork over some serious cash. And let's not even get started on the quality of the materials used in those upgraded interiors. When I'm dropping a ton of money on a new truck, I expect the finest top-of-the-line stuff. But nope, Chevy's still cutting corners, and it really shows. Compared to the competition, some of these Silverado interior upgrades feel like a total letdown. So when it comes to the cabin experience, the Silverado is kind of a mixed bag. But you know what? That's not the only area where this truck has its hits and misses. Let's dive into another big one: comfort. Starting with the base models, you've got those classic bench seats, and the higher end trims, they really step it up with those comfy bucket seats. But here's where things take a turn. The second row in this thing just ain't all that great. If you go for the double cab model with the extended cab layout, your adult passengers are gonna be feeling pretty tight back there. It's like trying to cram a couple of linebackers into a phone booth. Thankfully, the crew cab model comes to the rescue with its ample second row legroom. Now, you might be thinking this is the ultimate family hauler, right? Well, not exactly. Despite the decent space, the rear seats just aren't designed for maximum comfort on longer drives. There's a distinct lack of side support, and the overall seating position is a bit awkward. It's like trying to sit comfortably on a park bench. You can do it, but it's not exactly ideal, you know. And to top it all off, the Silverado's rear suspension setup just doesn't seem to be geared towards providing a smooth coddling ride for passengers. It's more like a bucking Bronco than a luxury sedan. I don't know what Chevy was thinking when they designed this thing, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more we could unpack here, so let's dive a little deeper, shall we? Ride quality. When it comes to smoothing out the bumps and potholes on the open road, this truck has a bit of a split personality. On the highway, the Silverado glides along like a dream, absorbing all those little road imperfections with silky smooth refinement. You could sip your morning coffee without spilling a drop. It's that composed and comfortable. But let's be real, no truck is perfect. Not even the mighty Silverado. When you hit those bigger swells and craters, the Silverado doesn't handle them quite as gracefully. It gets a little jolted, a little unsettled. Now take a look at the competition, like that fancy pants Ram 1500 with its multi-link suspension. That thing is making waves in the truck world, delivering an impressively smooth ride. Meanwhile, good old Chevy is sticking with the classic leaf spring setup. Don't get me wrong, leaf springs have a proud history in the truck world. They've been the reliable workhorses carrying heavy loads without a fuss. But let's face it, they can be a bit on the bouncy side, especially when the truck bed is empty. And it's not just the Silverado that's dealing with this leaf spring challenge. The F-150 is in the same boat, but somehow, Ford's managed to iron out those road bumps a bit better. It's like they've got some secret suspension sorcery up their sleeves. But let's talk about the second factor here: maze of issues. Alright, let's dive into some of the common issues folks have been experiencing with the Chevy Silverado, because when it comes to this truck, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, my friend. First up, those pesky transmission troubles. Imagine the Silverado doing this awkward two-step every time you go to shift gears. It's like the truck has two left feet and can't decide which way to go. Now the good news is, a quick trip to the mechanic with an OBD2 scanner can usually get to the bottom of these tricky transmission quirks. But that's not the only problem area. How about those annoying fluid leaks? I'm talking about the Silverado springing a slow, steady drip from the front, right near the torque converter. It's like the truck's got a leaky faucet that just won't quit. Before you know it, you're stranded on the side of the road, scratching your head and wondering where all that precious transmission fluid disappeared to. And it doesn't stop there. Even the infotainment system can throw a little tantrum now and then. You're jamming out to your favorite tunes, and suddenly the touchscreen decides to get all glitchy on you. Talk about a mood killer. While it may not be a major mechanical issue, those infotainment gremlins can really put a damper on your driving experience. Now, let's talk about the paint quality concerns. Imagine buying a brand spanking new 2022 Silverado, only to find the paint already chipping off. But wait, there's more. This truck also seems to have an insatiable appetite for oil. It's like the Silverado has a never-ending craving, so you better be checking those levels religiously, or you could end up with some serious engine troubles on your hands. Let's talk about the quirks of the 2024 models, particularly regarding their suspension systems. The Silverado, Tundra, and F-150 all have unique characteristics that can make driving feel like a game of mechanical bull. Drivers often report fluctuating sensations on the road, sometimes feeling tightly controlled and other times loose and unstable. If every bump feels exaggerated, it may indicate that the suspension components need some attention. For instance, the 2024 Chevrolet Silverado features a sophisticated suspension system that includes options like an adaptive air suspension. While this offers a smooth ride and adjustable height, it can sometimes lead to issues such as uneven weight distribution or responsiveness problems, especially in colder climates. Owners have noted that if the air suspension fails, it can lead to a bumpy ride and require costly repairs. Regular maintenance checks are essential to ensure that all components are functioning properly to avoid feeling like you're being tossed around on rough terrain. But you know, the Silverado's issues don't just stop at the hardware level. This truck also has its fair share of internal and software related problems, and that's not too surprising considering how loaded it is with high-tech features these days. Just like those fancy SUVs and crossovers, the Silverado is packing some serious tech goodies. Now don't get me wrong, all the modern pickups are coming packed with bells and whistles, but the Silverado, it's got a few tricks up its sleeve that might just catch you by surprise. So let's dive in and take a closer look at both the good and the not so good when it comes to this truck's high-tech features. This is going to be an interesting one. Safety and bugs. Alright, let's dive into the high-tech features of the Chevy Silverado, specifically that adaptive cruise control system. Now, I know what you're thinking, adaptive cruise control. That's so yesterday, but hang on a sec, because this ain't your grandpa's old school cruise control. This is some next level cutting edge stuff. It's like having your own personal chauffeur, except this one's a little quirky, shall we say. See, the system is generally pretty darn good at keeping you a safe distance from the car in front of you, but every now and then, it has a bit of a hiccup, and when that happens, it's enough to make your heart skip a beat. Imagine you're cruising along in stop-and-go traffic, minding your own business, and all of a sudden your truck decides to lurch forward, like it's got a mind of its own. Talk about a rude awakening. And the worst part is, you can't just sit back and relax when this happens. Nope, you've got to stay on your toes, keeping a close eye on the road, making sure it doesn't pull any more of its little tricks. It's like having a high-maintenance, supercharged version of a chauffeur, one that keeps you on your guard at all times. But hey, Chevy's tried to address these issues, and if you're really looking to take your hands-off driving experience to the next level, the Silverado's got you covered with its Super Cruise system. The catch? You're gonna have to dig pretty deep into your pockets for all this high-tech wizardry. But if you're the kind of person who loves being on the cutting edge of automotive tech and you don't mind splurging a little, the Silverado might just be the truck for you. Of course, the big question is, how much of a splurge is really worth it? Because let's face it, none of us want to just throw our money away, right? And this is the third factor, where it all makes sense. Price versus value. You know, when it comes to the Chevy Silverado, it's like peeling back the layers of a deliciously complex onion. There's just so much to unpack. On one hand, this truck is a bona fide legend, synonymous with rugged reliability and the perfect blend of power and performance. but on the other, well, it's got a bit of a checkered past, shall we say. First off, let's talk reliability. The crystal ball of JD Power has given the 2024 Silverado a solid predicted reliability score of 80 out of 100, and RepairPal, they've slapped a respectable 3.5 out of 5 rating on it, putting it in the top 5 out of 17 full-size trucks. Not too shabby, but certainly not the stuff of legendary status either. You see, the Silverado's gotta go up against some stiff competition when it comes to reliability. The thing is, the Toyota Tundra, sure, it may not be the flashiest truck out there, but its simple, no-frills design translates to serious long-term durability. And now, the Toyota Tundra has really stepped up its game lately with a smoother ride, high-tech features, and engines that pack a real punch. Then there's the Ford F-150, the undisputed gold standard for pickup reliability thanks to its sturdy engines, cutting-edge tech, and solid construction. But we can't skip on the long-term value of these trucks. The whole cost of ownership factor, fuel economy, maintenance bills, resale value, it all adds up, and it's not always in the Silverado's favor. Remember those pesky recalls, power steering, brakes, transmissions? This truck's had issues with them all. As an owner or potential buyer, you've got to do your homework, diving deep into those recall records to make sure there aren't any lingering problems. Safety and peace of mind are key, so don't just take the dealer's word for it. But hey, if you're still convinced the Silverado's the truck for you, the good news is that Chevy's got a whole range of trims to satisfy every type of customer. We're talking everything from the no-frills, workhorsey work truck to the sports car-inspired RST, and plenty in between. So whether you're looking to ball on a budget or ball out in style, there's a Silverado for you. The question is, how does it stack up against the competition? Because at the end of the day, it is all about being on top of the other option on the market. A truck's not just a means of transportation, it's an investment. And with the Silverado, you've got to weigh the pros and cons, crunch the numbers, and decide if it's worth the price of admission. So let's compare it to one of the biggest direct competitor, Chevy versus Ford F-150. This thing is a straight-up powerhouse, known far and wide for its unparalleled versatility, muscle-bound performance, and cutting-edge tech features. Ford's 2024 F-150 offers a diverse lineup of 6 engine options, from a punchy 2.7-liter V6 to a hybrid powerhouse packing 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet. Whether you crave V8 grunt or hybrid efficiency, the F-150 delivers. The base 2.7-liter EcoBoost VS6 churns out 325 horsepower and 400 pound-feet, while the 3.5-liter EcoBoost VS6 ups the ante to 400 horsepower and 500 pound-feet. For old-school fans, the 5.0-liter V8 produces 400 horsepower and 410 pound-feet, but the real star is the 3.5-liter PowerBoost Hybrid, delivering an astounding 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet. No matter the engine, the F-150 is a performance beast, with the hybrid even managing 25 miles per gallon city and 26 miles per gallon highway. Towing capacity tops out at 13,500 pounds with a payload of up to 3,310 pounds. The 2024 F-150 is a true workhorse, blending power, efficiency, and capability. But the F-150 isn't just a rugged workhorse, it's also loaded with all the modern tech and creature comforts you could ever want. A standard 12-inch touchscreen infotainment system keeps you connected and entertained, while available driver assistance features like adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist make for a more relaxed, confident drive. Oh, and let's not forget about that killer party trick, the available Pro Power onboard system that turns your F-150 into a mobile generator, providing up to 7.2 kilowatt of power for all your tools and gadgets. Talk about versatility. If you're in the market for a rig that's as tough as nails and as smart as a whip, the F-150 should be at the top of your list. But we can't also skip Toyota, right? Toyota Tundra. This thing is practically synonymous with durability, reliability, and off-road prowess. It's like the Chuck Norris of the truck world, and I'm about to break down exactly what makes it so darn impressive. First off, what is under the hood? Well, you've got a couple of engine options that'll really get your adrenaline pumping. There's the iForce twin-turbo V6, which cranks out 348 horsepower and 405 pound-feet of torque. But if you really want to take things up a notch, you gotta check out the iForce Max Hybrid engine. This puppy combines that twin-turbo V6 with an electric motor, resulting in a jaw-dropping 437 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque. And get this, the hybrid setup not only boosts performance, but it also delivers up to 46 combined miles per gallon. Talk about the best of both worlds. But the Tundra is not just about raw power, it's also built like a tank. With a maximum towing capacity of up to 12,000 pounds, this truck can haul just about anything you need, from boats and trailers to heavy equipment. And the flexible cab and bed configurations mean you can find the perfect setup to fit your lifestyle, whether you need the spacious Crew Max or the more compact double cab. Inside, the Tundra is loaded with all the modern comforts and tech you'd expect, like leather-trimmed seats, heated and ventilated options, and a massive touchscreen infotainment system. But it's not just about the creature comforts. This truck's also packing some serious safety tech with features like adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, and a panoramic view monitor to keep an eye on things when you're towing. And let's not forget about the Tundra's off-road chops. With the available TRD Pro package, you're talking upgraded suspension, skid plates, and beefy all-terrain tires to tackle even the gnarliest terrain. Plus, there's the crawl control system, which automatically adjusts the throttle and brakes to help you navigate those tricky off-road obstacles. But everything has its pros and cons, right? While the Toyota Tundra is renowned for its ruggedness, reliability, and off-road capabilities, some potential downsides include its slightly lower fuel efficiency compared to rivals in the full-size truck segment, and the fact that its design and features can feel a bit more utilitarian and less refined than some of the more polished offerings from competitors. Additionally, the Tundra may not offer quite the same level of cutting-edge technology and advanced driver assistance features as the latest F-150 models. As for the Ford F-150, its reputation for capability and versatility is well earned, but some potential drawbacks include a history of occasional quality control issues and reliability concerns that have cropped up for certain model years. The F-150 also faces stiff competition when it comes to fuel economy, and its towing and hauling numbers, while impressive, may not quite match the best-in-class figures of some rival trucks. Pricing for higher-end F-150 trims can also be on the steep side for some buyers, so when you decide, make sure your priorities are met. But before you make your final decision, you might consider for the newcomers too. I am talking about the new Caterpillar pickup truck. It is so good and unique, we have made a dedicated video, so thanks for watching and go see that one. Trust me, you will love it.